Namo Buddhaya, Namo Ratanataya. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Bhikkhuni Jutindhara, and
I am Bhikkhuni Avera.
today our program, Sutta study, our Dhammathani program, will be Majjhima Nikaya, number 141. Yeah. Maybe some of you know that sutta, but we will try our best to share the Dhamma. And at the end, we can ask the question if you have some question. And now we would like to have some maybe 10 minutes quiet meditation. Yes, start now.
Let's start with Namo Tassa.
Okay, before the sutta. Now we just
Now,
now.
yeah.
Okay, we start now. Respect to the Buddha with Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Now we will start with our sutta study. We can share our vision. Not this one. I just,
Let's see what it is. Because I just opened it.
oh, not here. Right.
Everybody can see the screen, I hope.
Yes, Saya.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm an Venerable Avera will be read part by part, and if any of you not understand, we can ask. Yes, and then we continue. We hope that we finish with the time.
And we hope to complete the sutta in general, but yeah, if there is any comment, questions, feedbacks, or any addition to anything regards to the sutta, please feel free to join in.
Okay. And my English not so good. Please forgive me, but I try my best. Okay, I start. The Majjhima Nikaya 141. Yes. The analysis of the truth, Saccavibhaṅgasutta. So I have heard at one time the Buddha was staying near Varanasi in the deer park at Isipatana. There the Buddha addressed the Medicans. Venerable sir, they replied. The Buddha said this. Near Varanasi in the deer park at Isipatana, the realized ones, the perfect one, the fully awakened Buddha rolled forth the supreme veil of Dhamma, and that veil cannot be rolled back to back by any ancestic or Brahmin or God or Mara or divinity or by anyone in the world. It is the teaching, advocating, establishing, clarifying, analyzing, and revealing of the Four Noble Truths. What for? The Noble Truth of suffering, the origin of suffering, the sensation of suffering, and the practice that lead to the sensation of suffering.
Would you like to explain this?
Yeah. And this sutta is the Buddha want to teach about the suffering. We can say in English, in Pali, that the four the Pali, the four Arya Satya. Yes, and that we have said in English the Four Noble Truths and the cause of the noble truth of suffering is the cause of suffering. The Satya.
Origin of the suffering,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Cause.
The Dukkha Araya Satya, that's of Pali, and the origin of the suffering is the cause of the suffering, and the sensation of the suffering is the end of the suffering, and the practice that lead to the sensation of suffering is the Eight Noble Path. Yes.
Yeah, see, like how the Blessed One explains Four Noble Truth in such a grand way. Like he rolled the supreme wheel of the Dhamma that cannot be rolled back by any aesthetic or Brahman or God or Mara or divinity or by anyone in the world, showing the enormous power the truths hold and how they are unaffected by anyone's opinion. Oh, I don't want this, and it doesn't change in accordance with that, with anyone's wishes. So that teaching has been put forth and shared by the Blessed One, so powerful, so magnificent. And That's what we are going into, the Four Noble Truths. Again, the heart of the Buddha's teaching. Indeed. Yes.
I think this sutta we have in the Dhamma Chakravatana.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
the
Dhamma
Buddha.
Chakravartana Sutta, also
Yeah,
the Four Noble
the
Truths.
Four Noble Truths. Would you like to read?
Yes. Near Varanasi, in the deer park at Isipatana, the realized one, the perfected one, the fully awakened Buddha rolled forth the supreme wheel of Dhamma. And that wheel cannot be rolled back by any aesthetic or Brahmin or God or Mara or divinity or by anyone in the world. It is the teaching, advocating, establishing, clarifying, analyzing, and revealing of the Four Noble Truths. Mendicants, you should cultivate friendship with Sariputta and Moggallana. You should associate with Sariputta and Moggallana. They are astute and they support their spiritual companions. Sariputta is like the one who gives birth, while Moggallana is like one who raises the child. Sariputta guides people to the fruit of stream entry, Moggallana to the highest goal. Sariputta is able to explain, teach, assert, establish, clarify, analyze, and reveal the Four Noble Truths in detail. So that is what the Buddha said. It's beautiful to see how Buddha again shared how magnificent are the Four Noble Truths, and then how humbly, instead of explaining, he invited and he asked the mendicants to cultivate friendship with Sariputta and Moggallana. Like here, it also shows the humbleness of Lord Buddha and also the confidence that he shows in his great disciples Sariputta and Moggallana Venerable about how deeply grounded their hearts were in the Dhamma and how pure their teaching was, and how capable that Dhamma was to penetrate and lead one to the fruits of arahantship, till the fruits of arahantship.
Yes, because the Buddha said that we should have the Kalyana Mitta that to help us to be know well about the Buddha teaching, and the Sariputta is the famous of wisdom, and the Moggallana is in the highest spiritual
Psychic powers.
psychic power, yes. And then the Sariputta is very well with wisdom. Then he can help the people that come to start practicing to understand well the Dhamma and get very good to go to the stream and to become a Sautapana, and the Moggallana then help teach in the high goal that life uh, father mother no, mother and father, yes, it's very good in the Sangha that have such life, Sariputta and Moggallana, yes.
Yeah, and also we can see like Sariputta Bhante being foremost in the wisdom. He just used to establish the people mostly into the fruits of stream entry. And then Mahamoggallana Bhante, who was expert in psychic powers, used to explain the Dhamma and help them reach the highest goal of arahantship. And it's important to mark that until one reaches the Sotapanna or stream entry level, they have lots of varieties of questions, and the Dhamma in that in those stage is very delicate, very not reached the maturity yet, not established yet. So that's where like the wisdom part is very important, and which is well supported by Sariputta Bhante in this case, as that you can see. And also in many other suttas where Lord Buddha explains that Sariputta Venerable is the one who helps in establishing in the path, in the fruit of stream entry, and Mahamoggallana Bhante in the in the fruits, higher fruits on the Dhamma path. If anybody has anything to share about here?
No, we can read one in the end.
No? Yeah, okay. Maybe?
Yeah. That,
Yeah.
brown one? Yes, this one.
I said
Ah,
this, I think.
okay. You have said it? Yeah. When he had spoken, the Holy One got up from his seat and entered his dwellings. Then soon after the Buddha left, Venerable Sariputta said to the mendicants, Reverence mendicants, reverence, they replied. Sariputta said this, near Varanasi, in the deer park at Isipatana, the realized one, the perfected one, the fully awakened Buddha rolled forth the supreme well of Dhamma, and that well cannot be rolled back by any ancestor or Brahmins or God or Mara or divinity or by anyone in the world. It is the teaching, advocating, established, clarifying, analyzing, and revealing of the Fourth Noble Truth. What for? The Noble Truth of suffering, the origin of suffering, the sensation of suffering, and the practice that leads to the sensation of suffering. I think that is the same as
Yeah.
before. We can again, or you can read.
Lord Buddha
Continue.
and Venerable Jutindhara bringing us back to the core of the Sutta, the Four Noble Truths, the
Yes.
Saccavibhaṅga. Okay. And what is the noble truth of suffering? Rebirth is suffering, old age is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress are suffering. Not getting what you wish for is suffering. In brief, the five grasping aggregates are suffering. And what is birth? The rebirth, inception, conception, regeneration, manifestation of the aggregates, and acquisition of the sense fields of the various sentient beings in the various order of sentient beings. This is called birth. So here we are at the first noble truth, the noble truth of suffering. And here Buddha, it's very beautiful to witness that many places, and sometimes we get to hear that life is suffering. And Buddha doesn't say that. And here he's just giving like these are things that are suffering. These are the like rebirth, old age, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, distress, suffering. So so all there are small aspects which are associated with the life that are like like the components which causes us suffering. And we can use like this birth in this case to fabricate things that lead us out of the suffering. It's not just a wasteful attempt, oh, life is suffering and nothing. No, we can do something that can help us in making the way. And in to understand that, the first part is to know and understand what the suffering is itself. So when there are these components like what is rebirth, like Buddha just don't leave us with okay, this is suffering. He goes in detail and he explains, oh, this is rebirth, this is old age, this is everything. Like, so he is kind of introducing us to come and see what the suffering is and know and familiarize ourselves that, oh, is it indeed suffering? It comes on to us to question it and to see with the sensitive heart that, yeah, is it really true? Is it really a noble truth?
Yeah, I think that we must realize the suffering. If we not realize the suffering, and then we must rebirth again and again, because now is the modern time, and then some people when old not accept the nature, and then go to make the nature that's still young and something that makes still beauty, but that is not realize the suffering. That's why that is very important that we don't want to have this suffering, and if we rebirth again and again, we have all to have the same.
Mm.
No, how we say, no stop, no end for the suffering. That's why very important to see all the suffering, rebirth, and all, and pain, and dies is all suffering. That's why some of us not realize the suffering when the suffering come, and then just push out, don't want to look to the suffering, just go away from suffering.
Mm.
That is that we not can see the Satya Dhamma, we not accept the nature, that we still rebirth and again, and die again and again, and dukkha, suffering again and again.
Yeah. And just pushing away or resisting the noble truth or trying to avoid it by getting distracted in variety of different fields does not bring the end to the suffering. That's not the way out, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um, just making sure, Venerable, if I can increase the screen
Yeah.
because I might not be able to.
Finish? We just finish it.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, you
Okay.
go ahead.
What? This and this?
I think we
What?
are on rebirth.
Okay.
I think rebirth,
Okay.
old age, yes.
Yeah. Old age.
Mm.
And what is old age? The old age descriptive youth, broken teeth, gray hair, wrinkly skin, diminished vitality, and failing faculty of the various sentient beings in the various orders of the sentient beings. This is called old age. And what is death? The passing away, passing on, disintegration,
Disintegration. Disintegration.
disintegration, diminish mortality, death, decrease, breaking up of the aggregates, laying to the rest of the corpse, and cutting off of the life faculty of the various sentient beings in the various orders of the sentient beings. This is called death. I think this one we understand good. All of this, that we must, when we rebirth, then we must have all this and must die. Now we have one that our the same goal is at the end we are, uh, let's go on from this life and die. That's why we must understand the Buddha teaching and how to be free from suffering, not craving all of this body, because of this body make us much dukkha, and we must rely the Dhamma to go out from suffering. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like the old age, the truth of reflection of old age and death also help us to come out of the intoxication that we have with youth and life. Like how we just start taking it for granted and get derailed from our purpose, from our intention, knowing that, oh, I'm not suffering now, I'm not old, I'm not having broken teeth, I'm not wrinkly or having gray hairs yet. But we don't know how quick the time flies, and we are on the verge of regrets. So yeah, coming back, when there is still time, maybe make the best use of the teachings, make the best use of the opportunity that we got. And what is sorrow? The sorrowing, state of sorrow, inner deep sorrow in someone who has undergone misfortune, who has experienced suffering. This is called sorrow. And what is lamentation? The wail, the lamenting state of wailing and lamentation in someone who has undergone misfortune, who has experienced suffering. Hmm. It sounds kind of similar, but then there is a depth. There seems to be a depth in between the sorrow and lamentation part. Like there is like missing out on something which might be ours, but like the internal state of missing it out and feeling depressed, maybe low in energy, not happy with it, comes in the sorrow, and then taking it to the deeper level of the sorrow, as if that the suffering that we feel when we lose somebody or when somebody dies, then the sorrow that comes, the wailing, the lamentation that comes, mm, that depth of undergoing the misfortune is like creating the difference. But both of the states have been acknowledged here. You see, not missing on even the smallest suffering, like, oh no.
Yes, all of this are suffering,
Yes.
and we have all this. We cannot avoid all of this.
Yeah.
If we rebirth again, it's the same, again and again. And we don't want to have this one when we don't want to, when we fall enlightenment in Nirvana, and then we be free from this all suffering. Yeah. And what is pain? Physical pain, physical unpleasantness, the painful, unpleasant feeling that
That's
born from physical contact. This is called pain. And what is sadness? Mental pain, mental displeasure, the painful, unpleasant feeling that born from mind conduct. This is called sadness. I think these two is near similar. Pain, we have the physical pain and physical unpleasant. Uh, one we have pain in body and one have pain in the mind. The Arahanta have still have pain. Even Buddha still have pain in the body, but the mind is don't have physical pain anymore, because as Arahant is all this are cut down or are released. That's why the physical pain still have, but the physical mental pain don't have this one. Yes, pain, body, the sadness we can say mental pain too. Yes, it's all this is suffering, dukkha, because we have still have this body is still not yet free from the suffering. That's why still have the physical or mental pain.
Yes. Madhupur made a good point that often, like, why we are suffering and why Lord Buddha is not suffering can be reflected upon again. And it can be seen that, oh, because the views are made straight, like Buddha is established in the right view of non self, it has been realized, it has been reached, and all the clinging and attachment to the worldly things has been dropped out already. So when the self separates, what is seen as just as it is and not getting mixed, so there is no added suffering that comes along with the existing suffering. Like their mind is not fabricating any extra suffering. Oh, why this? Oh, I did not want that. And again, oh, here we go again. Those things are not happening. Those things, the extra suffering, at least, are are not coming in the ways of the enlightened ones.
Yeah, that's why the Buddha have the in Parinibbana, but his Dhamma is still there, still here that we can practicing. Like Satipatthana, the four Satipatthana, to look all this Dhamma, that we don't have the mental pain. The body still have pain, but the mental pain, we want to practicing to let go, to be free from suffering. Is our mind free from suffering? That is that we still now in this monastery life, that to practicing this. But our body is still all time pain, because we born have this body with all and sick. That's why we cannot avoid this body pain. But mental pain or physical pain, we can, yes, sadness. We accept the Dhamma, that that suffering, that we realize that suffering, and then we not have this physical pain anymore or less than before. If our practice well, we can see that we have not much said, that we grow up our practice in our hearts. Yes, the body is still our temple, and we cannot say, please not pain anymore, because that the body is must like this. Yes.
I read.
You.
Oh. Okay. And what is distress? The distress. The state of stress and distress is someone who has undergone misfortune, who has experienced suffering. This is called distress. And what is not getting what you wish for is suffering. In sentient beings who are liable to be reborn, such a wish arise. Oh, if only we were not liable to be reborn, if only rebirth would not come to us. But you cannot get that by wishing. This is not getting what you wish for is suffering. In sentient beings who are liable to grow old, fall ill, die, experience sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress, such a wish arise. Oh, if only we were not liable to experience sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress. If only sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress would not come to us. But you can't get that by wishing. This is not getting what you wish for is suffering. And see how this is also one way that leads to the distress, about how we undergo misfortune, and most of the misfortune is related to, oh, may I not get old, may I not die, may I not receive anything unpleasant, may I not receive failures, for instance. May everything be very swift, and swift is like comfortable, success, happiness, joy, long life, no deaths. This is like ideal. And it is not received by just wishing, but yeah, this is the suffering of not getting what you want, indeed.
I think this, if we understand of this Dhamma, the Buddha want that we see and understand this Dhamma and realize that is suffering, because all of us have this one. And we say that we read again and again about this, but how about the other people? They understand this. They look, they not see that it's suffering, because they not understand this Dhamma. That's why if we understand and rely all of this is suffering, then is our wisdom to see this Satya Dhamma, and then we want to go out from suffering. But if we don't understand that is all of this suffering, then we still allow this suffering and want more suffering. That's why the wisdom to see this suffering, this Satya Dhamma is very important for us, to be free from suffering with our wisdom, to see the suffering first, not go away from suffering. Just see, just go inside the suffering and feel. And then when we understand suffering, then we can go out from the suffering. We can go find a way out from suffering. If we not understand and not realize the suffering, and then we cannot go find the way to go out from this suffering.
Also, very good turn to reflect upon and see how vulnerable we are when we enter the verge of, like, the dimension of suffering, to see how, like, even when our friends depart, even how we keep growing and how we have to leave different stages of life and move on, and how that separation, how we feel like, oh, may this last forever, but also it very quickly changes. And, like, even separation from our loved ones, how even from afar we feel, we, with the growing technology especially, that, oh, one video call away we would just get to meet them, or they are, okay, how are you, and we're just constantly checking. We feel we are connected, but we don't know when we have to say goodbyes. And that vulnerability, that helplessness, that that fear that we live in, that actually prevents us from being truly happy and see things rightly, because also there is a strong wanting at one part, and then there is also the noble truths that are telling you, oh, this is the way that leads to the true happiness in general. And it's just come that, okay, we are in the vulnerable ground, but we need to trust in order to take ourselves out from the suffering that we are subject to.
I think it's very important is we just accept this suffering. This we think that is nature, very simple. When we birth, this must have all this, and then we increase our upeka, that our hearts accept it, and then that this the point that we go out from suffering, that we practicing our heart to accept and equanimity to all this dhamma. That is the way to be free. Yes.
That needs to be practiced. We need to every day practice. Okay, can I let go when the time comes?
Yeah.
Can I let go of the other person? Can I let go of the situation in general? That I'm not subject to that suffering that follows with it.
Yeah.
It follows with the change.
And we not fear about the suffering anymore,
Yes.
because if even we go everywhere, the suffering go with us, and don't not avoid of the suffering. Welcome the suffering to see to increase our wisdom. Then we not go away from suffering. You know, or everywhere we go, it's the same. The suffering come with us every moment. Yeah. Which one?
Okay. Now, what is, and what is, yeah.
Okay. And what is in the brief, the five grasping aggregates are sufferings. Grasping aggregates are suffering. They are the grasping aggregates that consist of form, feeling, perception, choice, and consciousness. This is called in brief the five grasping aggregates are suffering. This is called the noble truth of suffering. Yes, this one we can say that in Pali form, that is rupa, and the feeling is vedana, and perception, the sankhara,
Sanya.
the asanya, and the choice in the sankhara, and the consciousness is the vijnana, that we have the five aggregates, the five khandha, and all these five khandha, if in Abhidhamma, each of our mind know something have this five aggregates. That's why if we practice well in our upeka, our equanimity, and then this five aggregate not become more and more. We just let go all this with the upeka. That's like the purified chitta to be free from suffering. That is a way to let go all the rebirth like the how we say the fruit have the
Seeds.
yeah, the seed to rebirth, to come again, and this five aggregate that come to for the rebirth. Yes.
The grasping needs to be let go of.
Yes.
And okay, is there any comments, anything, any suggestion from anyone? Anybody wants to or add any question? Oh yes, Daniel.
Thank you. I think what I like so much about Dhamma is how the kind of first teachings of it are so simple, like, a child could understand. Sickness, old age, death, sorrow, not getting what you want, or getting what you don't want, and how much our world tries to ignore all of that.
Yeah.
How no one, regardless of their religious beliefs or background or whatever, would ever argue that that's not true, that no, we'll all live forever or we'll all not experience suffering. And yet, I feel like so much of our world lives as if this isn't true. And I think there's um, maybe even a lot more suffering because of that,
Yeah.
because we live in this state of constant denial of the kind of fundamental truths of our existence.
Yes, sadhu. That's why that Buddha say in this sutta that it's the true Dharma. All of us have this, but we not want to understand. We just want more suffering because we not realize this suffering. That's why all of us know that, but we know how we know our wisdom know that it's suffering, but the other don't know. It's very important.
Yeah, everybody in their own ways is trying to make a way out of suffering. And even though Buddha is telling, oh, this is it, even though the Sangha is telling for like 2,500 years now, this is it, and this is the way out. Four Noble Truths are explained in its complete form, but until people have that spirit, oh no, but no, until there are those different tendencies of the mind to find a escape, it just keeps wandering on. And that's why, like it said, that there is a deep parmi that plays role where where person use the wisdom either to listen or either to reflect upon, okay, is there any way out in real that I can figure out, which is different from what Buddha has not taught, like challenging the Buddha's teaching in certain way if they want to, until they realized and they are like in the submissive state to listen to the Dhamma and listening to the pure Dhamma, then reflecting upon it with appropriate attention. And then maybe their heart opens more and they practice and they realize the fruit that has been promised by Buddha and Dhamma and the Sangha itself also. So yes, it takes some effort for sure, but very beautifully said. Everybody understand how the world works, but still they are not able to come out of it, and how sad reality it is. Yeah.
And I think some people need to maybe some more suffering, a strong suffering, and then that bring to Dhamma. Sometimes bring the way to Dhamma because suffering. Then sometimes need a little bit more suffering and stronger, and then they find a way to out from suffering.
Yeah.
Indeed.
We just don't know how strong the wrong views are, and the association also around us makes a difference, because if our elders are not looking for the way out in the right way, then we ourselves try to force ourselves, crash ourselves, be strong on ourselves, until people sometimes feel it's appropriate to do suicides rather than going out of the boundary and exploring a different dimension that can offer some solution. Sometimes even though the pure teaching has been offered, just because it's not made clear and plain in the right way, that needful help is not being reached. So the opportunity to come out of the suffering that they are going through, that become the Dhamma association with Dhamma becomes a little difficult. So indeed, it's a very rare opportunity to have this uh, the sutta study happening, the exchange of Dhamma and exchange of conversation happening, that help us to understand things in a better way indeed.
And I think if the people when they birth again and don't have the Dhamma, and then they cannot go out from suffering. Now we have opportunity that have Dhamma to learn and practicing. Then it's a very good time that we have this opportunity. But if we rebirth again at the place that no Dhamma, and then it's very much suffering, and then we cannot go out from suffering too. Yes, that more suffering and suffering.
That's scary.
Yes, yes.
Indeed, yes. And what is the noble truth of the origin of the suffering? It is the craving that leads to the future lives, mixed up with the relishing and greed, taking pleasure wherever it lands. That is, craving for sensual pleasure, craving for existence, and craving for non existence. This is called the noble truth of the origin of suffering.
This craving we have no, that is the cause of suffering. Is we practicing that like satapatthana, there is no apicca and domanassa. That is the way. If we uh, have the angry and then we don't like and then we want something and then is that go to the craving. That's why this is whole the whole cause of suffering is the craving. Craving through our eye, through our ear. When we see the form very nice, then our mind want to have it. And if we see not good, and then we don't like it, that is the cause of suffering. All in our five sense, through our eye, our ear, our tongue, and our body and our mind. That this sensual craving. That's very important. Then we must practicing every day. That Dhamma is every day we see or think all this Dhamma. We must practice to go out from this craving with our wisdom to see all this impermanent. Let's go. Let all this suffering go. Not craving all this. I think that's the way to go out from the cause of suffering.
Yeah. There was recently a Dhamma sharing I was listening to, attending to, and there somebody asked the question, like, what is the difference between passion and desire? And I was like, yeah, interesting question. And the way Ajahn explained was like desire can be connected with the craving, like, okay, I want this, maybe sensual pleasure existing in a certain way or not existing in a certain way. But then the passion that is underlying it, either passion or aversion, you can also say, that's like the suffering itself, where like we are first having some idea, oh, that's cool, and that becomes the ground for having the passion to arise. Oh, and then there comes in the desire, oh, I want it, I want to be this way or else. So it's very subtle process that keeps happening almost all the time, that we might not be even aware of sometimes. But then in those subtle ways, we are like kind of feeding in one or the other ways of craving that Buddha has very beautifully explained here. And it's just those three things, but we don't even realize where we slipped in and what we found attractive, for instance, or resistant, and how quickly we slip in to have passion or aversion, or not knowing, even ignorance makes it a little difficult. And then we get into the desire and keep going in every direction of the world until we come in the right way, looking for a right way out.
Yes, in this we have seen that is in Pali kama tanaha, that is sensual pleasure, that in our five sensuals, and the bhava tanha is the craving of existence. Like we don't like as human, we want to have be birth, rebirth as a deva or Brahma. Then is this is the craving of the bhava tanha. That is the Pali Bhavatanha. And with Bhavatanha, sometimes we think that maybe if we not more existing, but it means not more rebirth or something. We not understand clearly about the Nibbana, and then that is the Vibhavatanaha. That's all are craving. Yes. If we want to be free from suffering, we must let go all this craving, all these three craving. We just accept the Dhamma and practicing. And because this craving that we call in Pali Tanaha, that is the cause of suffering. That's why if we practicing and to see uh, what we what we ever have, what we ever know our mind through our mind, that we just accept the nature. not more, not want to change, not want to have more. That we go out from that craving. We must look to very important this point. Otherwise, if we want, and then we go more inside to this cause of suffering. We just trust the Dhamma, like the tree. We just plant and put the water, and if the time comes, the fruit will be common, will be come out, and that's why we want to be free from suffering. But if we want, please, I want that I meditate, I want to have very calm or like this, and then it's to the craving.
I also want mango from apple tree.
Yeah.
That becomes our suffering there. Yeah. And also like noting that the way out of the suffering like also comes from having this craving to fabricate the path in its entirety and not like abandoning the path in between. So like craving is also essential part there to like wishing for our own utmost happiness in the long term, but then also understanding it with the wisdom. Okay, what is my majjhima patipada? And of course that comes with many fails and attempts and trials and again fails, and until you find like, okay, no, this much is good for me. And even if then there is an extent about getting stuck in anything, then there is again an opening, how to humble up further, how to be light enough further, how not to be affected by the situations that are arising in different aspects of their life, and how like chittam yasana kampati, as it is said, the chitta is not shaken by the world or the conditions that arise. That is also craving, like the underlying reason behind what we are doing is also craving, but then that craving is leading us somewhere good, in a good direction, a skillful craving. So it is to be followed until something good has been reached. After we are satiated, after we are nourished, after we are ready to let go, is the time when we put down the things that we have been holding on for so long, which now like the work is done. Like even the Buddha gives the analogy of the raft, of as the Noble Eightfold Path as the raft that is used to cross over the asavas, the river of tanha also sometimes. And it has to be hold on to, it has to be grasped. That raft needs to be balanced with all our effort, like keeping our life at stake for sometimes, but the raft should not be gone. But once you reach the end shore, the farther shore, then you don't have to carry it on your head. And it's the good time to keep it down indeed. So yeah, that's an important point to note again. Um, we can noting the time also.
Yeah, we finish at 2:30.
Yes, we just
Okay.
have 2:30. Yes.
We have here. Okay. And what is the noble truth of the sensation of suffering?
Cessation of cessation.
Cessation of suffering. It's the fading away and sensation of that very same craving with nothing left over, giving it away, letting it go, releasing it, and not clinging to it. This is called the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. This one we call that is Nibbana. The truth of the cessation of suffering is the Nibbana. Or we say that the Dukkha Nirodha Ariya Satchang. It means the end of suffering. Ariya Satchang is the noble truth. It's such a yeah.
Arya Satchang.
Ariya Satchang, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. This one we have here. We are in monastic. Practicing is all of us. Practicing the Dhamma is have only one goal, that to be free from suffering, to be in Nibbana. Yeah, that is the end of suffering. That's why we practicing every day to see all the Dhamma and accept the Dhamma uh, for the end of suffering. Yeah,
The ultimate Nirodha. That's what we are practicing for indeed.
yes.
Yeah, and it's very beautiful to note that like Buddha just did not use just one word, but he has used different words like fading away, the cessation of that very same craving, nothing left over, giving it away, letting it go, releasing it, not clinging to it. There's also sometimes one word used that is relinquishing. And all those things are like very much suitable for understanding how different aspects of the life, how different craving, how different things we are holding on to are to be let go of in their own ways. And like for instance, we might be having holding on to our childhood memories, which are very dear, some childhood friends, some childhood teacher, that moment where I got the that first prize or some appreciation. Those are the points, memories which we still cherish and hold on to or rely upon for the small dopamine. And uh, until there is a right time, until we realize why we are holding on to it, and knowing the vulnerability, the dependence about even holding on to those sensitive memories, and understanding and asking ourselves basically, are we ready to let this memory go also if it fade away in midst of many past lives that we have been through? Like even that is one of the aspect which we gently need to practice upon. Be open handed, more light, more loose, more like okay, lighter. So,
I think if we want to have the end of suffering, that's why we must know what is suffering and what is the cause of suffering. If our wisdom not know that, then we just maybe the suffering and then we hold and we love the suffering. That's why we cannot go out. We cannot make to end suffering. That's
yeah,
why our wisdom we practicing to see, to increase our wisdom to see all of this
yeah,
and let's all go that suffering. If we not all let's go all this suffering, then we cannot because we hold all this suffering. That's
yeah.
why just know and realize first and then can let's go. Yeah.
It's a good point. Like third noble truth is third noble truth because it's not the first noble truth. If we just directly go to the person and say, okay, just let it go, the first question will be, why? Are you crazy?
That is mine. That is mine. I
Yeah,
cannot. Let's go. This is mine.
yeah.
This belong to me.
It leads to
Can
all sorts of crazy
yeah.
direction. That's why Buddha first wanted us to reflect upon, oh, there is suffering.
Yeah.
What is the suffering? Why are we suffering? And then that knowing, understanding the underlying reason that why we are working on letting go, then we are in more better position to okay, I can let go because then it's bringing me peace.
Yes, let's go with wisdom. If we let's go with our wisdom, we're not free from suffering because we not understand that suffering. Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also like just in here, if we note like for instance, I gave the example of holding on to the memories and being okay and allowing it to fade away if they fade away. It's not that we would just forget it anyways, but it's like we would be free from that grasping and that holding on to and that dependence that we have been developing for so long. That is like breaking off the links, breaking off the chain from from that memory. And it's not that we are forgetting it or trying to just push it away, don't come again, but it's like okay, that memory is there, I'm smiling, but then I'm not dependent on it, I'm not holding it on, I'm not wanting to grasp it. And similarly, like there might be many different scenes that we go through, many beautiful sunsets that that might have passed through our eyes, but we are not like that tendency to cling on to it. It starts fading away. It starts that tendency starts growing low, lesser. Like we are enjoying, we are in the moment, but when the time comes to separate, we are like, okay,
Yeah.
can allow.
Like we like to eat chocolate, and then we not know that chocolate eat when we eat this chocolate make we are sick and dies. And that's why if we know that, after that, we still eat and eat and eat. And then we will sick and sick and sick and then die again and again. But if we understand and know, oh, this chocolate, if we eat, and when we will be very sick and and will die. And then we will stop. We will let go this chocolate and then we will not eat anymore. That's why the same as suffering. When we know we not hold that, and then we let all this go. Yes.
At least, we are not craving for that chocolate again,
Yeah.
wanting it more and more again and again and again. That pushes it into suffering. If we get some chocolate and we are eating it with the wisdom and mindfulness, okay, I get it one, I eat it, enough. If I don't get it for my entire lifetime, I will be fine. That stage needs to be met, or else we would be like getting rebirth again and
Yeah.
again to eat the same chocolate.
Yeah. When we eat, we still rebirth and still sick.
Yeah.
Sick because we want more and more. Never enough.
Yes.
Craving of the chocolate.
And what is the noble truth of practice that leads to the cessation of suffering? It is simply this noble eightfold path, that is, right view, right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right immersion. And what is right view? Atama choso sammaditthi, knowing about suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and practice that leads to the cessation of suffering. This is called right view. Should I complete the entire?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we have not much time.
And what is right thought? Thought of renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. This is called right thought. And what is right speech? Refraining from lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, and talking nonsense. This is called right speech. And what is right action? Refraining from killing living creatures, stealing, and sexual misconduct. This is called right action. And what is right livelihood? It is when a noble disciple gives up wrong livelihood and earns a living by right livelihood. This is called right livelihood. And what is right effort? It is when a mendicant generates enthusiasm, tries, makes an effort, exerts the mind, and strives so that bad, unskillful qualities does not arise. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strives so that bad, unskillful qualities that have arisen are given up. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that skillful qualities arise. They generate enthusiasm, try, make an effort, exert the mind, and strive so that skillful qualities that have arisen remains and not lost, but increase, mature, and are completed by development. This is called right effort. And what is right mindfulness? It is when a mendicant meditates by observing an aspect of the body, keen, aware, and mindful, rid of covetousness and displeasure for the world. They meditate observing an aspect of feeling, mind, principles, keen, aware, and mindful, rid of covetousness and displeasure for the world. This is called right mindfulness. Should we stop and then
Yeah.
in few minutes go to right immersion?
Yeah.
I think it has already been 7 aspects of the
Mhm.
Noble Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
Yes, Andrew, would you like to share something?
You can. You can. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we feel like, okay, this would also have been the first noble truth, that it holds the potential of being the first noble truth. Okay, this live this way, just the way our parents teach us. Okay, live like this. Okay, and there is the rebellious voice that comes inside when we are a child. Why? I'm so happy sleeping, eating, and being dependent on the family, etc., etc. And that can again be the case. But when we come gradually from first noble truth, second noble truth, third noble truth, we realize that, okay, by the time we are coming to the letting go of any pattern of the life that we wish to change for, we need to make right changes in our life. We need to substitute those old unskillful tendencies and habits with the new ones that are not bringing us suffering and that are reliable. The karma that we create dependent on them would not be bringing me any harm, at least not any harm, but then good fruits until we can touch the unfabricated. So like fabricating the unfabricated can also be said here. And so most important among the noble eightfold path comes the aspects of the mind, with the wisdom factor, which are right view and right thoughts about how our view should be established in order to see the things as they are. Which if when it is aligned with the right view, when it's aligned with the four noble truths, we are able to step back and see things as they are, instead of just getting it, oh, chocolate. We see, oh, this is chocolate. This is the origination of me being so happy. Soon there will come the point where passing away of the chocolate will happen, and may there not be suffering that follows. So we can step back and choose not to indulge in the chocolate in an unhealthy way, for instance, here. And then also thinking about renunciation, the right thoughts about how, first, if there is any condition that arises, especially if there is this greed in the head, then can I let go of this piece of chocolate? Can I pass it on to the world? And can I be separate myself and not be into the sorrow? It's also a good test for us to check and separate ourselves and grounding ourselves in the Dhamma, and like showing our commitment that, oh no, if there are any such voices of sensuality that pulls me into the suffering or into the samsara, then no, I am committed to the Dhamma. My determination for my most happiness is stronger than this small subtle voice of sensuality. And yeah, I can let it go. Like, huh, piece of chocolate. That's oftentimes the difficult one, but with the goodwill and harmlessness in our heart. We're not wishing, oh, I gave it to her, and there's no covetousness, no connection in the wrong, unskillful way, but we are happy when the world is happy. We are harmless in those terms. Like world does not need to fear us when we are letting go on something or passing on. There is no hidden intentions, no hidden motive, but just for the happiness of the world, giving generously, magnanimously, without underlying tendencies that would bring us suffering and others suffering. So, with established in the mind, Buddha gradually guides us with how we should speak, the verbal aspect of the fabrication of the path. And then there are four aspects to it: not lying, not speaking anything that divides people, not speaking harsh word, or not talking nonsense also, which takes us nowhere but just tired and dull mind. So we don't want those things. So practicing in the right way so that we are not bringing in suffering to ourselves and not passing it on unnecessarily to the others. Similarly, we are providing, when it comes to our actions by body, speech, or mind, then in the body, we are not killing any living creature, we're not stealing, we are not being into sexual misconducts. And this is like providing the safety to our fellow living creatures all around. Right? They don't need to fear us. They don't need to go into any sort of terror, and they can feel safe, comfortable, connected, and perhaps find the way out of suffering also just by associating with us from the safety that we offer. And
I think the Eight Noble Truths that is have we we make 2-3 parts. That is the sila, samadhi, and panya. Uh, that is all of us practicing must have this one. If we have good sila, and then we can good meditation. If we don't have good sila, even we just have five precepts, and we are monastic, have order more than, but it's not must that have like monastic, just have 5 precepts. And that is the foundation of sila. That when good sila, just this 5 sila, very good, and then can good meditation. If we go meditation, then can have good wisdom. Then the wisdom come out to realize the Dhamma, to realize the Satya Dhamma. That's why that is the Pali said the Ariya Atangiko, that is the way to practicing to the noble disciple. That's why this all of us have the same practicing. Only as monastic have more sila, and as lay people have just 5 sila, but need to have this foundation 5 sila to practicing. If you don't have sila, then cannot practicing, cannot meditation, because our mind will be thinking about if we have kill someone, or we speak not good, and then at night come the mind again and again and feel not good, feel very sad. That's why we cannot practicing, because this is unwholesome. That if we practicing, then we increase more wholesome mind, and then we release out the unwholesome. That's why this way to be free from suffering need to practicing more wholesome mind.
Yeah. Somehow, however deep or however coarse our practice be, but the noble truth remains the same. And it's just by refining ourselves on different levels, like the more pure we are in our silas, the more pure our actions are by our body, speech, and mind, the more stable we can be, the more free from remorse we can be. And when there is the freedom from remorse, freedom from agitation, then and when there is this peace that, oh, I did not did any harm to others, no harm would be coming to me from any direction, that peace, that confidence that we have from the karma that we do, that help us to also be more and more settled. Okay, what am I still suffering? What can I change? What more I can do to free myself from uh, any underlying suffering that I have still not dealt of? And yeah, that helps indeed.
Yes, yes. The Nibbana called that is peaceful heart. That now if you have sila, then it's a part of our movement that's peaceful to practicing on the way to the noble. Yes, not in future, but now we have the peaceful mind and peaceful heart. And if we have the peaceful heart, and then it's share to the other people and all living beings too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then coming to the right effort and also keeping an eye on the watch.
Wonderful.
I can see the right effort is also usually abandoning the unskillful qualities that have not yet arisen, those have arisen, keeping it at bay, cleaning it up, developing the skillful qualities that are not have arisen yet, and then cultivating them further, growing them further, and developing them further, so that skillful qualities get established within.
That's why it's the right the samadhi or the right view at the beginning is very important. If we don't see and understand what is the dukkha, what is the suffering, and then we don't have the right effort too, because we will be put the suffering away. We not let go the suffering. That's why the first is the wisdom that have the samadhi in the beginning. The right view is very important.
Yeah, the sensitivity to the suffering help us to understand, oh,
Yes,
my action makes the
yes,
difference, and unskillful things just
yes,
put us in the grounds of suffering,
yes.
nothing else. Yeah.
But why we have the wrong effort? Then we not go out from suffering. Okay. So I do this already. This one.
Yes, and then guiding with right mindfulness, our body, our feelings, our mind, and the principles of the Dhamma, keeping the mindfulness so that our mind is keen, aware, mindful, free from covetousness and displeasure of the world. So like mindfulness is the guiding principle who keeps an eye on everything we are doing so that anywhere we are stuck in the suffering, we can use this as an opportunity, guide ourselves out of it. So again, important aspect that leads to the right immersion.
Yes.
I read? You read?
I can read. Okay. Fine. And what is the right immersion?
I'm sorry.
It's when a American quite seclude from sensual pleasures, seclude from unskillful quality, enter and remain the first absorption, which has the rapture and bliss burn of seclusion, while placing the mind and keeping in the connected. As the placing of the mind and keeping it connected as stills, they enter and remain in the second absorption, which have the rapture and bliss born of the immersion with internal clarity and mind at once, without placing the mind and keeping it connected. And with the fading away of rapture, they enter and remain in the third absorption when they meditate with equanimity, mindful and aware, personally experiencing the bliss of which the noble ones declare. Equanimous and mindful, one mendicant is bliss. With the giving up of the pleasure and pain and the disappearance of the former happiness and sadness, they enter and remain in the fourth absorption without pleasure or pain, with poor equanimity and mindfulness. This is called right immersion. You can read because we have not much time. You can read.
This is called the noble truth of the practice that leads to the cessation of suffering. Near Varanasi, in the deer park at Isipatana, the realized one, the perfected one, the fully awakened Buddha rolled forth the supreme wheel of Dhamma, and that wheel cannot be rolled back by any ascetic or Brahmin, or God, or Mara, or divinity, or by anyone in the world. It is the teaching, advocating, establishing, clarifying, analyzing, and revealing of the Four Noble Truths. That is what Venerable Sariputta said. Satisfied, the mendicants approved of what Sariputta said. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. You also verify that.
Yes. I like this sutta because this is very simple and very important. To be free from suffering only when we understand and we rely all this the cause, the what is the suffering, the cause of suffering, and what is the end of suffering, and what is the way to practicing the suffering. The cause of the what is what when we know what is the suffering in the Abhidhamma is the all lokaya dhamma, all lokaya mind, that is all suffering. And the cause of suffering is tanaha. Tanaha is that is the greed. All the greed that is the craving. That is the cause of suffering. And the end of suffering is nibbana. Nibbana is we can experience only when we arise with storm entry. Then we understand that nibbana is that is free from suffering, very peaceful and very purified. And the way to be free from suffering, to practicing the suffering, we can say that is if we practicing the Satipatthana, the four Satipatthana that have all that eight noble paths. If we have the sila and we have the samadhi and then we have the wisdom. That's why it is the sort of these four noble truths, or we say the Arya Satya Dhamma, that we can good remember because it's, all of us have this and all of us want to be free or want to be out from this suffering. Otherwise, we still have this suffering with us everywhere we go and rebirth again and again, and no end of suffering.
So we can see that until when we are in the samsara, we are constantly feeding on something. Like tanha, craving, is often said as thirst also. And then we are also constantly feeding in the world. And oftentimes it's like unskillful things like sensuality or getting lost into delusion. And all those are like the ways we find out in order to keep ourselves happy, thinking that, oh, this will bring me some long term welfare and happiness, but it does not. And in the factors of Eightfold Path, the immersion, the right concentration, the jhanas is like the fruit, the food which like sustains and nourishes, like we do the skillful actions by body, speech and mind, and as a result we can dwell in any time that we want into the right concentration, and depending on them we slowly let go of our feeding habits on the world, among the sensuality or any unskillful action, habit, or tendency that we are still evolving into, knowing that, oh, there is some better food that I can feed on. And slowly we can let go of the junk food, the dependence on the junk food, knowing that, oh, it just brings suffering, the heart diseases.
And important if we understand the Dhamma and we practice well, and then we not think that we will be for enlightenment, but now in the prison we know how to practice to be free from suffering. Then it's now is free from suffering because we let go all that suffering now. That I think that is very important.
Yeah. I can stop the screen sharing now, and if there is any comments, any feedbacks, or anything that you would like to share with us, we would just love to hear, or your experience also.
Yes. Oh, that's question.
There was some comment.
What to correct?
Cynthia says, I'm sorry for your suffering at the departure of your friends. Yes, very true. Thank you for that empathetic voice. And Janaki says, Thiruvan Sarnai Venerables, this is what I have learned, what dukkha is, as taught by the Buddha. Suffering is always connected or associated with pain, is dukkha. That kind of suffering which is caused by pain. Is dukkha that kind of suffering which is caused by pain? Can say if we are attached to the idea that, oh, may the suffering not come to me, and may this pain just go away, go away, go away, then that is actually a suffering that we are into. And yeah, suffering from it. So did you understand? Like she asked that suffering is always connected or associated with pain. Is dukkha that kind of suffering which is caused by pain? Dukkha, as explained by the Buddha, is a kind of anxiety, distress, or anguish. There is no one simple word in English to explain dukkha. Awareness of birth, aging, sickness, or death bring us dukkha. That is not a pain we are suffering from, but anxiety. We understand that aging, sickness, and death cannot be stopped through how much we want it, and so is the birth. This understanding or realization brings us dukkha. this understanding or realization bring us dukkha?
No,
Are you sure?
I think not. If we not understand that all this, rely all this, then we not can go out from this suffering. We know that it's suffering. We
Yeah.
understand that suffering, but then we want to go out from this suffering. We must know and realize this. If we not know and not realize, then we cannot go out. But the know and realize that is the wisdom, and this wisdom we need to be out from suffering, not afraid of this realize suffering. I
Yeah.
think very important.
Like the truth itself is very painful. I agree, and
Yes.
I I agree with you in this condition. But yeah, that's what we are working on, so that
Oh,
at
Richard.
least, even though now we are in suffering, but
Yes.
there are ways that have also been taught which we can
Yes.
work on and which can lead us out of that suffering. That again, when we reflect back to the same line, then hopefully we are not in the same suffering that is being followed upon, but we understand it, we
Yes.
understand the cause, and hopefully we have abandoned that cause.
Yes. And when we don't know that we are sick, then we not take medicine too.
Yeah.
Drink the medicine, the Dhamma medicine.
Yeah,
Please.
that was actually the next point that she was mentioning, that
Uh,
there are solutions for pain that
uh,
cause mental and physical suffering. However, the anxiety or anguish caused by the natural phenomena cannot be treated that way. So
Richard,
we
uh,
so we do not go on suffering from pain, as
yes.
we find ways
Just
and
accept.
means to nullify or
Yes.
forget that suffering from the mental and physical pain.
Yes.
Dukkha has a deeper and more profound meaning to it than suffering.
Yes. I think Richard want to speak something.
Yes, Richard, you're raising your hand.
Richard, please.
Thank you. I want to bring up a couple of points. In the beginning of the sutta, the Pali words are Dhamma, Chaka, the wheel of the Dharma. But based on my own studies, I believe that this was a change brought about over time, especially probably due to the Emperor Ashoka being comparable to a wheel-turning monarch in terms of how much of the world he conquered, Jambudweep, that part of the world. And it really should be Dhamma Chaku, the eye of the Dharma. Because when a person attains Sotapan, it says that they get the vision or vision of the Dhamma. They get the Dhamma Chaku. So, and it's this vision that cannot be stopped by anybody, because once you hear it and it goes into your mind, you can't unsee it. So nobody can take it away. No Brahma, no Mara, nothing. And so that's why the Buddha, he passed it on to his 5 friends. Kundana got it, and also Asaji. And then Asaji went and spoke with Sariputta, and Sariputta got this vision of the Dharma. And they all say the same thing, that all dhammas subject to arising are subject to cessation. That's the vision that they get. And then Sariputta goes to Mahamoggallana, and he just describes the same thing, and Mahamoggallana gets the same thing and sees it. So I think it's this vision of the Dharma that's being rolled on. But I think because of so much support coming from the emperor, and this concept of when the Buddha was born, he would be either a world-conquering monarch or a Buddha, came into being. I don't think that's originally part of Buddhism, because Buddha very definitely says, he gives the example of the blind turtle. He says it's like a turtle swimming in a giant sea and there's one gourd floating. And he says, and the turtle comes up every 100 years for breath of air and goes back down. That's like the length of life of a human, 100 years. And one time he comes up and just by accident in this giant sea, his head goes through the gourd. So he says the same thing for his students that find out about Buddhism. There's an idea that came about in Buddhism that the gods and others were taking birth because they knew Buddha was going to become enlightened, so they wanted to be there to study with him. And they say that about Maitreya, what they call Maitreya in Mahayana Buddhism, that, oh, if I could just take birth when my no, you cannot predict when a Buddha is going to happen. It's just not possible. Buddha says it's not. It's by accident, a very profound accident, but it's like this. So I think in trying to make that connection between the world turning monarch idea and the Buddha is so closely connected that this idea of turning the wheel, came about. Anyway, that's just my view on that. Another thing is dukkha. There's this one saying in there when they're describing, what is dukkha. And if you look at the Pali, it says a couple of words, and then it says dukkha, then it says a couple of more words, then there's space in dukkha. And I think that's an error that entered into the Pali, that those first two are blah, 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 dukkha, and the next two are blah, 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 dukkha. And they made an error there in the Pali because it puts a strange pressure on the translator, that first dukkha that arises, to translate it as pain. So he translates all 5 words as this word, that word, pain, this word, that word, and then dukkha. And that would be you know what section I'm talking about? It's near the beginning when Buddha first defines
dukkha satcha, like katamacha bhikkhave dukkha satcha. Then he explains there is jati, jara, vyadhi, marnan, soka, parideva, dukkha, domanasa, payasapi, dukkha. That's the section you are talking about?
I think so. Sorry, I need to go and take a look and find it.
I understand your perspective,
Richard.
If you show the numbering, it's in 10-2. If you know how to show the numbering.
I need to open the screen. Just a minute.
Okay. The number
141. Majjhima Nikaya 141, but you can also
it's Soka Pari Deva Dukkha Domanasa Supaya Asi. You see what I'm talking about there?
Yes.
Sticking dukkha in the middle there. When dukkha is the thing that you're identifying everything else as, right? It just doesn't make sense, and it breaks. Everything else is something dukkha, or that combination. Words dukkha. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, what you're saying makes sense also to me, but then there is another understanding that like there is a samsara, and samsara is seen as a cycle of the events that puts us into the suffering again and again and again. And the Dhammacakka is also seen in the same way, but in this case it's just a wheel that helps us to come out of the suffering. So it's also like the noble truths, the way they are taught, like understanding the suffering. Then when one understands, one becomes sensitive to the suffering, then they go into the cause of the suffering. Why am I like that? That's the second angle. Then what's the way out of it, and what's the path that leads and outwards? So it's like forming a circle. Okay, when I'm out of this suffering, and when I experience even a little happiness that is blameless, that is untouched, that is unshaken, that is established in the purity, then there comes in a second cycle. Okay, but there is still some more suffering that we are into, and how to until we come out of it.
What I'm trying to say is, now that you have the English, that I can see it. So sorrow and lamentation are suffering. Sadness and distress are suffering, right?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because from sorrow, eventually one starts to lament. Oh, why is me? Why is this happening to me? Or what happened to my child? Why would such an innocent child? You know what I mean? So it finally comes out. You have sorrow, it comes out verbally. Yes. Same thing. You're sad, right? And your sadness eventually causes you to be greatly distressed, right? If you're sad too much, you'll become overwhelmed with stress and distress, okay? This stress just means bad. This means bad in English, so it just means bad stress, okay? Because there's good stress too, like lifting weights is stressful, right? But it's good exercise. So that's why there's a word distress. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, but Buddha is he's not a killing king going around, conquering people and destroying things. And that's the idea of the rolling of the wheel. The king does the does the horse sacrifice and goes out and follows the horse everywhere and rolls in his chariot and conquers everywhere. They're just two conflicting ideas. But anyways, like I said, these are just my personal opinions. The other thing is when they talk about the 5 precepts, many times the first one, which is Pana Atipata, is the Pali, and it's translated as killing many times. Yes, it involves killing, but it means Pana means breath. Atipata means harming. It means don't harm anything that breathes. Now, there's a reason why Buddha used this particular term, because the Jains were using ahimsa, right? And they were saying, don't hurt anything. And, many people don't know this, but the Jains are not supposed to even farm. That's why Jains got very much into being traders, businessmen, because even farm was considered a type of harming, okay? But in Buddhism, you can be a farmer and it's still right livelihood. You see, because they didn't know when you're plowing the field, right? You're killing insects, you're killing worms, various things, right? But those things they didn't see in those days. They didn't have modern science, so they couldn't see that insects breathe, because insects don't breathe the way humans do. So they're saying don't kill anything that breathes. And it's not just kill; it's don't attack. Now the ultimate attack is to kill something, but if we just translate it as killing, then people don't get the right idea. And so even sometimes some monks, let's say, or monastics might become violent with another monastic as their teacher. Oh, don't do that, bang, you know what I mean? No, they're not supposed to do that. But if you're thinking that the commandment is don't kill, well, I didn't kill him, I just, whacked him a little bit, or whacked her a little bit, whatever, right? No, you got to understand the words exactly what they mean and why there's Buddha used that term. He was distinctly showing a difference between Jainism and his teaching. And that's a very major difference between the two, as an example. So, anyways, there's many things I could talk about, but it's getting late. But thank you very much.
Sadhu, Richard. But we must respect to our time. We go to our time. And thank you for all of you to join this program. Very good to learn Sutta with all of you. And may all of you practice well and understand, realize the Dhamma, to grow up the wisdom, to be free from suffering to Nibbana. Nibbana Paccaya Hotu.
Sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu.
May you all be happy and well. And just a quick announcement that on 2nd November, we are all having a beautiful event at Dhamma College from 2 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And we would be pinching in more about it on Facebook and email, on social media. But just to let you know and warmly inviting you again to be there and join us for the celebration, where we would be screening Gautama Buddha Mata movie, which is for free, everything. So yeah, that's an inspiring part of the Mahapajapati Gautami story. And yeah, if it helps you in any way, we would be so happy to have you there.
Yes, very much appreciated and very warm heart to have all of you with our program.
Yes.
Thank you so much for all support to our monastery, Dhammathani, and we will see us again with the next program.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
Gently. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
See
you next time.
you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.